Today we're going to be going over running the DL-NCD, processing door jobs, and doing cuts on the machine. Here we are at the electrical panel. We're going to go ahead and turn on the power, just like so. Here we are at the FRL on the side of the frame. Here, right to left, we're going to go over what everything does on it. We have incoming air at your shop, the emergency disconnect for turning air on and off. We have our water trap coming in for moisture collection. Then we have regulated pressure here. We have distribution of that dry air. And then we also have here lubricated air supply, which we did not have on the older legacy versions. Now we're going to go ahead and turn the air on. As we turn the air on, the dust hood is usually down. When we turn it on, it's going to go ahead and retract the cylinder, same as the edge probe. That's going to come up, turning air on. Here we're at the control console for the DL-NCD. We have our control circuit up top. If we toggle it on, like so, it turns on power to the computer. Here on the next button, the start machine, this, if we toggle it, it turns on power to the machine and allows you to home it. Here we have the emergency e-stop. If we toggle it, it cuts off power to the machine in the event of an emergency or collision, anything happening on the machine. Here we have the park tool. You want to park every tool at the end of your shift. You do not want to leave a tool inside the HSD. It's going to wear and tear on the motor. Here we are at the computer. Power is on, air is on, everything is retracted. As you can see, table is ready to home. Everything on head is retracted and ready to home machine. We're going to toggle the DL-NCD tab right here. And then we're going to go ahead and hit the home machine button, like so. It's going to go ahead and go through its homing process for X, Y, and Z. Edge prep if you have it, and then your width adjust on your table. Now that we've homed the machine and the HSD has gone through its warm-up sequence, we can see that it's at an idle state, waiting for an input, either a door downloaded or a manual movement. We're going to go over all the tabs here on the main UI. We have your home machine button, which we just used. You have your reset machine, if you want to go ahead and recover from a soft error, something that does not need to be powered all the way down and power cycled. We have our setup mode, toggling on and off. This moves all of the servos, but does not turn on any of the routers. Here we have our park tool. You'll be doing that at the end of every shift to go ahead and keep the HSD clear of a tool. Here we have routine speed controls, 0 through 100. You can toggle them as it's running a sequence, and it'll automatically move to that percentage. Here we have width adjust and feed control. We have forward and reverse, fast and slow, all be able to be toggled on. We have manual control over the manual width adjust, opening or closing. This is super helpful for greasing the machine. You can open the width adjust manually and then get inside the machine to grease it. Here we have your auto feed, toggling on and off. Here we have your manual clamp, toggling on and off. Your door stop, toggling on and off manually. And toggling your door length probe, enabled or disabled. When it's enabled, it's going to be using the length probe to measure the length of the door, your lock edge depth probe, and that's going to be registering the edge of the door for your Z-axis on your edge probe if you have the edge prep option. Next, we're going to go over the manual control tab here. Here you have individual control over all 3 axes. The X-axis, forward and reverse, Y-axis, forward and reverse, Z-axis, forward and reverse. And you actually have control over the percentages at which they're jogging around at. Here you have the same thing for the edge probe. This is going to be the Y-axis, up and down. Here you have your manual tool changer mode. When you toggle this on and then select a tool, you can manually move over step-by-step sequence to grab a tool. This is helpful if you've had a collision into the tool holder to reset and recalibrate the tool changing sequence. Up here under the tool usage tab, you can see 1 through 8 for all your routers, how much usage they've had in inches, and then when that started, and the ability to clear it out when you go ahead and change a tool out. Up here under the tool config tab, we can go over all the parameters to each of those tools, 1 through 8, and then the edge probe. You can top to bottom set all your parameters: diameter, minimum diameter, entry angle, total length, total cutting length, tool point if you have it, max pocket depth, depth per helical plunge, max bite, cut overlap, material type, reciprocation, RPM, feed rate, and percentages for those with parameter and plunge cuts. All of these are going to be programmable. If you already have your standard tooling for the door light, they'll be set up for you. If not, you can go ahead and swap out for a different tool of your own and swap these numbers around for whatever cut you're trying to achieve. Here under the edge router, we have the same thing, but we have these which can counter rotate if you have a left-handed tool, and then entry and clean out speeds for your edge router. Up here under parameters, we have your lock block parameters for wood and steel percentages of your feed rate and RPM. Here we have the beginning of where your lock block would start, bottom reference, how long it would be, how wide it would be, and then if it's also on the hinge side of the door. For when you're drilling holes, you have your plunge hole parameters. You have your entry feed rate and the inches per minute on how it's entering the door, typically into steel skin doors. The entry margin of when it's gonna, how thick it's gonna cut into with this entry feed rate. The feed rate for exiting, and then the margin for that as well, and then the tool diameter ratio for that. The next tab we have is the calibration. Here we have X, Y, and Z for your face carriage. That'll be the main HSD that's working on the face of the door. Here you have the carriage for the edge carriage. Here you have the tool holder, X, Y, and Z, which we talked about earlier with that tool change sequence. Here you have diameter offset for all your tools, 1 through 8. This is helpful for if you're using reground, resharpened tools. Here you have X, Y, and Z and diameter offset for your lock edge. This controls just the router, not the carriage, which is a combination of the probe and the tool. Here you have your slug knockout. That's the cylinder on the side of the head. That is X and Y. This is already pre-programmed, so you do not have to calibrate it. Here you have your table. Your width adjust is on a servo, and it's constantly measuring the door on the width whenever you clamp up a door. This should not need to be calibrated. If you have a door in the machine and you unclamp, the offset of that is how much it unclamps and moves the width adjust away from the door. Here you have your door stop, length probe, and then your edge probe X, Y, and Z for those. Here on the next tab, you have your tool path preview test. If you have a door job opened up in the Kval library and you hit render, it's going to go ahead and show the tool path and what tool it's going to use for whatever cut you're trying to achieve. If you hit show path analysis, it tells you the tool ID and the path for the raw G code that it's going to take, and it'll show you in the tool config what ID that tool is. On the next tab, we have our status tab. This shows us everything that's happening on the machine: true, false, idle, if it's in an error state, and what's happening with it. Next up, we have the log. This is everything that the machine is doing in real time, whether it's downloading a door, registering an error, showing that you have no error to the machine. All these things will come up and stay in the machine. Every time you power cycle it, this will reset and it'll come up blank, as you can see down here. Now that we've gone over all our tabs on our main UI, we're going to come over here to the Libraries tab on the left-hand side. We're going to toggle it. This is going to have all of our common stuff here that is automatically loaded for your door job library. You're going to have all your door templates here. We can go ahead and open one up. Basic parameters for your door: width, length, thickness, beveling, and percentage for your door job. The DL-NCD does not care whether you have 0 or 3 degree beveling. Keep in mind that the edge probe option only does 0 degree. Down here we have our feature tree. You can see we have a grouping for a cutout and then a feature for a light cutout here. Now that we've had this door job opened, we can go ahead and go to the bottom here for our quantity. We can go ahead +1, or we can add and enter a quantity. Then we're going to go ahead and go to our add queue. The machine is automatically going to pre-position and grab the tool that it thinks is necessary for the door, whether it be wood, fiberglass, or steel. It's going to go ahead and wait for the incoming signal for the auto feed and for the door that it's expecting. If we go back to our DL-NCD tab and go ahead and hit our auto feed, it's going to pre-position the width adjust, and you can see that down here. It's 1/2 inch over because that's what we calibrated the unclamp offset to be. So once it clamps up, it's going to measure the width of the door and then spit out a number here in the log. Here we're going to go ahead and add our door job. Add to queue is an auto feed, so it's going to pre-position. I'm going to go ahead and feed the door in. And as long as one of these eyes on either side, whether it's in feed or out feed, and your auto feed is on, it's going to automatically grab the door, feed it to the end of the machine, register the edge of the door, and then go ahead and automatically clamp it. I have a door downloaded right now, and we're going to go ahead and simulate what it looks like when you hit the emergency e-stop and how to recover. I have the auto feed turning on now. It's going to go ahead and clamp up the door. It's going to run its sequence. As it's cutting, I'm going to go ahead and hit the e-stop. So the dust hood came up and out of the way. It stopped X, Y, and Z movement as I toggled it on, and power is now off. I'm going to go ahead and untoggle the e-stop, and you can see it's waiting for power to come back onto the machine. we're going to hit start machine. After it's enabled, we're going to go ahead and home the machine. Just like that, we're ready to run the door again. Here on your main UI, when you're all done at the end of your shift, you're going to go ahead and hit the Park Tool button. This is going to raise the dust hood up and out of the way, move the Z-axis over, and then position itself to put the tool away. It's recommended to do this at the end of every shift. Go ahead and hit the Park Tool button, put the tool away. This prevents wear and tear on the HSD motor and the collets that you have. Now that we're all done, we're going to go ahead and go over exiting Kval Cam, closing windows, and then turning off your control console. We're going to go over here to the Kval Cam icon, go ahead and right click, and then go to the exit. This is going to exit out of Kval Cam, and then we're going to go to our windows, hit the power button, and shut down machine. This is going to make sure that you don't corrupt any files in the Windows system. Now that we've shut down Windows and we exit at Kval Cam, we're going to go to our control circuit and go ahead and turn it off. Now power is off to our control console. Now that we've turned off power to our control console, we're here at FRL and we're going to turn the air off. Go ahead and make sure to lock out and tag out as necessary. All right, now that we've turned off power to our control console and we turn off the air, we're here at the electrical panel and we're going to turn power off. And just like that, everything's powered off and ready for tomorrow.